My guest at this time is Victoria Toensing. She is a former Justice Department official and a former federal prosecutor. She is now a partner in the Washington firm of DeGeneva Toensing, and she's joined us a number of different times into the various investigations into the Trump campaign and what Russia was doing during the 2016 campaign and so forth. And today, of course, the big event in Washington is former Trump attorney Michael Cohen's testimony to the House Oversight Committee, which has had a lot of tongues wagging here in Washington, so we want to separate fact from fiction. And Victoria, thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be here.
Well, obviously a lot of attention, a lot of live coverage. Cohen, as most folks know, worked for Trump for many years. He is now perhaps one of Trump's fiercest critics. He's headed to prison on a number of different guilty pleas related to lying to Congress, other perjury charges, other fraud charges, some of which are completely unrelated to anything related to his work for Mr. Trump. But here's the clip that everybody is talking about from his opening statement.
I am ashamed that I chose to take part in concealing Mr. Trump's illicit acts rather than listening to my own conscience. I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
He also said the president lied about a number of things, including being involved in the payoffs to Stormy Daniels, as well as the Trump Tower project in Moscow.
Mr. Trump knew of and directed the Trump-Moscow negotiations throughout the campaign and lied about it. He lied about it because he never expected to win. He also lied about it because he stood to make hundreds of millions of dollars on the Moscow real estate project.
Curiously, though, Cohen said he had no knowledge of Trump colluding with the Russians and even suggested Trump didn't think he'd ever win.
Donald Trump is a man who ran for office to make his brand great, not to make our country great. He had no desire or intention to lead this nation, only to market himself and to build his wealth and power. Mr. Trump would often say this campaign was going to be the greatest infomercial in political history. He never expected to win the primary. He never expected to win the general election. The campaign, for him, was always a marketing opportunity.
Well, if that's the case, that definitely suggests that there might not have been a whole lot of incentive to collude to win. But, Victoria, what's your big takeaway here?
Well, you just took the words right out of my mouth. That's pathetic. Let's see. He wanted to win so badly. He colluded with Russia to do so. But he didn't really want to win. He just wanted a big PR campaign. He was so concerned about women forward, and after the Hollywood tape, really tried to do things to settle these potential lawsuits. But he really didn't want to win. I mean, it's one way or the other. Let's have it. Which way are we going to go on this? And here's the really bizarre thing about it. Say the Russia thing. Why did Michael Cohen, they quit talking about the Russia deal in March when he could have said that they talked about the Russia deal up until at least Election Day, if not inaugural day? There was no reason. There was nothing wrong with talking about the Russia deal. And the president was absolutely correct. There is no business in Russia because they hadn't made a deal. This is so much ado about nothing that it's embarrassing. And let me just say one other thing about the crime in New York. Michael Cohen pled to something that was not a crime because he had other crimes that he had to plead guilty to, such as income tax evasion of millions of dollars. He had lied to banks. He'd made fraudulent statements to banks. And the silly lying before Congress about when the Russian negotiations were over. He had to plead to those. So the Southern District threw in this non-crime of settling a lawsuit. That's not a crime. You can do it before a campaign, you can do it during a campaign, and you can do it after a campaign.
The argument, I believe, is that he had Cohen use his personal money and Trump reimbursed him, and that how it was somehow circumventing campaign finance law. What do you know about that?
No, because he didn't use campaign finance funds.
So because it was personal funds, it's okay.
We use personal funds, and the candidate can contribute as much money as the candidate wants to. They mesh all this together. John Edwards used campaign finance money to pay his mistress. That's a no-no. You don't do that. But if something is not connected to the campaign, which this wasn't, whatever allegations there are, they weren't campaign connected. And so the president, anyone running for office can settle a suit like that at any time. And former chairman of the Federal Elections Commission has been on TV, only Fox, because no one else will put him on, saying that this was perfectly fine. And it's done all the time for people to get things out of the way before they run for office.
We're talking with Victoria Toensing, former Justice Department official, former federal prosecutor. And Victoria, what do you make of how the lawmakers approached Cohen today? It's interesting that when he was loyal to Trump, the Democrats didn't want to have anything to do with him. Now, of course, they find him very, very credible. On the other hand, the Republicans seemed to be attacking his credibility, yet he had quite a bit of testimony today that would suggest, as we've already mentioned, that allegations of Russian collusion, he didn't have much to offer in that direction. In fact, he, in some ways, helped to perhaps exonerate the president.
Well, no, because that's not what this is all about. The Democrats now know that there's nothing in the Mueller report. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to, let's go after his finances. That's what this is all about. This is laying the groundwork to impeach the president so that they can say, maybe he didn't collude with Russia, but he made money this way, or he was really talking to Russia about something else. I mean, this is all dirty up Trump. That's what this was about. And of course, Cohen did it. I mean, those accusations, how outrageous. He's a racist. And there was a black woman there with Mark Meadows who said, no, he's not. I worked for him. I wouldn't work for a racist. It doesn't matter. The facts don't matter when it's a Republican. You know, did you ever notice a Supreme Court nominee allegedly pushed when a teenager pushed a teenager down on a bed and did nothing more? And that story is hard to even swallow. And yet the black lieutenant governor of Virginia, who is a Democrat, raped two women who have come forward and made credible accusations. And ho-hum, nothing there. Let's move on.
So you see this is a major pivot from Mueller, who we haven't had a final report from, but you believe Democrats are either clued in or coming to the conclusion on their own that there's not going to be a smoking gun there.
Well, the House Intelligence Committee announced that they could find no evidence. And Adam Schiff, even though he lies all the time when he talks, he knows there's nothing there. I mean, this thing, he has a law degree, for God's sake. And he talks about, well, there's circumstantial evidence, but not direct evidence. Circumstantial evidence is direct evidence. It can point to what occurred. I mean, he just made up legal terms. But he's not going to tell what it is. The only thing he's ever mentioned was, well, there was a Trump Tower meeting. Well, if that's the case, then what do we say about Hillary Clinton, who hired people to get information from foreign governments and was helped by the Ukrainian anti-Trump people or pro-Clinton people? There is a foreign government, and they paid for a false dossier to be used against Trump. At least the WikiLeaks things were things that actually occurred, and they weren't made up. So where does that put Hillary Clinton's crime?
Does this testimony from Cohen, even if it doesn't necessarily provide a lot of legal difficulty for the president, do these anecdotes provide a stain on the president, given all the allegations of, intimidation, paying off mistresses, just a general attack on the character, most of which we already knew about, but it's back in the headlines again that this is the sort of thing that the Republicans are usually pretty upset with.
Well, who's upset with what? Cohen for doing this? I'll tell you who should be upset. Cohen should be upset with Lanny Davis for recommending that he do this. It's malpractice. He's already, even CNN is accusing Cohen of a lie, that he said he didn't want a job in administration, when the sentencing report prepared by the Southern District said he expected a prominent job in the new administration. I mean, so he's got some issues about his testimony today.
What's next, do you think?
The headlines go away. There can only be one day of this testimony, and I guess he's coming back to the House Intel Committee tomorrow, and Adam Schiff will go out and leak. But there isn't anything there Russia. So what is this for? Just to have bad headlines against the president. And the Republicans are so bad. If it weren't for Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows, it would have been really pathetic.
Talk about that more.
They don't know how to fight.
Talk about that more. You got a lot of lawyers on these committees. You're a lawyer. You know how to interrogate people or question people. Why are these lawmakers on both sides, really, but certainly on the side that you'd be more sympathetic with, pretty bad at this overall?
It's squishy Republicans. I mean, Paul Ryan should be taken out and shot at dawn for refusing to let mostly the Freedom Caucus people ever issue subpoenas until the very end of the second year. I kept writing to friends of mine who are in the Freedom Caucus saying, doesn't anyone up there know how to spell subpoena? And they would tell me Ryan won't let them. The Democrats had subpoenas written up before they even took office in January. I don't know. It's a mentality that a lot of Republicans have. They're not, and I don't know why. Well, let's play by the rules.
Victoria, we'll be watching.
Nasty.
Thanks as always.
Okay.
Thanks as always for your insights. Have a great day.
Sure.
Victoria Toensing, former Justice Department official, former federal prosecutor, now a partner in the Washington law firm of Degeneva Toensing. I'm Greg Columbus reporting for Radio America.